Hi everyone, I'm Kat. So for you I have words in Romanian and also we are talking about true crime. So the word for today in Romanian is mauve. Mauve. Well done guys, you just said purple. Before we get started with today's video, just a quick disclaimer. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone I talk about in the video. This is for educational purposes only, and all the information I'm giving you is already found in the public domain, and I will also be sharing my own views and opinions around the case I'm talking about. Thank you so much. 7th of January 2022 seemed like any other night for Ashley. He decided to take his beloved dog Duke out and meet with Aaron at Gerard's house, where the three of them had a few drinks together. He told his girlfriend that she can have dinner without him. By 1 a.m., when he failed to return home, his partner texted him but he never replied. After reporting Ashley missing, his sister called Aaron to ask if he knew anything, but he said he hasn't seen Ashley. But strangely, later he told her that yes, he did see Ashley and they got absolutely bladdered, but when he woke up in the morning, both Duke and Ashley were gone. But when Duke was found roaming alone days later around Bogart Hole Clough Park, something didn't seem quite right. A post on Facebook said how a dog had been found barking and obviously distressed. Ashley's sister, Hope Walsh, saw the post. After Duke was found at Manchester's dog's home, Claire's concerns for Ashley's safety led her to report him missing to police. It was when the dog turned up at the dog's home that she believed something could have happened to Ashley. So, what exactly happened with Ashley when he only went to see his close friends and have a few drinks together? How was it that Duke, the dog, was found alone when both of them were inseparable? Let's try to make sense of it. Ashley Walsh was born on 22nd of October 1987 according to his Facebook profile. He was a wonderful father, brother and son. He was loved by everyone around him. Ashley was a very talented motocross rider and his number plate was 116. It seems that his color was purple. His family will always remember him as a fun, chilled, smiling, kind-hearted man. Duke meant everything to Ashley Walsh. His girlfriend even said that she sometimes believed Ashley loved the dog more than he loved her. To the bitter end, Duke looked out for Ashley. They were inseparable, and his protective nature provided police with a key breakthrough when he went missing in suspicious circumstances. At first, Claire Williams wasn't very concerned about her partner's disappearance. At this point, they had been together for 5 years, so she knew him. Ashley, who liked to have a drink, went on benders in the past, but he returned days later. So she kissed him goodbye on the Friday evening and he called her a bit later to let her know that he will sort out his own dinner. When he didn't get back home by 1 a.m. that night, his partner messaged him, but she received no response. Over the weekend, Claire became quite angry at him for not returning her messages, but she expected him to turn up eventually. He was due to start a job with a roofing company on the Monday morning, but when Duke was found roaming alone around Bogart Hole Clough, she began to fear for his safety. That's when she knew something was wrong, knowing that Ashley would never leave the dog. A post on Facebook told how a dog was found barking and obviously distressed. Ashley's sister Hope Walsh had seen this post. At this point, Ashley was missing for 5 days. He had not been seen but was not reported yet as missing. So Hope decided to do some investigating on her own. She went knocking on doors in the area and she was provided with CCTV footage which showed Duke, the dog, with 2 men. Hope knew who these men were: Aaron Evitt and Gerard McLagan, who were cousins. Earlier on Friday, January the 7th, 2022, Ashley called Aaron, a close friend, and arranged to meet up. They headed to Gerard's flat in Collyhurst, Manchester, United Kingdom, where Aaron had been staying after being kicked out by his girlfriend. After Duke was found at Manchester Dog's home, Claire's concerns for Ashley's safety led her to report him missing to the police. Quote, "It was really when the dog turned up at the dog's home that I thought something could have happened to Ashley," she said. The same day, however, after seeing the CCTV footage, Hope decided to confront Aaron herself. She wanted to know what happened with Ashley. At first, he denied seeing him that night, but when Hope kept pressing him, he claimed that the three of them got absolutely bladdered and Ashley left the flat by the time he woke up. Ashley, who lived in Failsworth, Oldham, was last seen on Kinter Walk in Collyhurst at around 11 p.m. on Friday, January the 7th, 2022. After his last phone call with his partner from photographs recovered from Aaron Evitt's phone, at about 6:50 p.m., all three men were present in Kinter Walk. There are images of Aaron with Ashley's dog Duke in the flat. At about 7:10 p.m., Ashley and the cousins walked to the nearby Go Local shop on Rochdale Road and returned to the flat about 15 minutes later. Ashley's family were searching for him in the days after his disappearance, and they were worried sick, searching for him in Boggart Hall Clough and other places. Search parties, which included Ashley's 80-year-old grandmother, worked around the clock to try and find Ashley. But sadly, they had no idea that by that point, Ashley was already gone. Greater Manchester Police opened an investigation into Ashley's disappearance. Ashley's partner and his boss repeatedly tried to contact him over the following days, and it was on Monday, January the 10th, that Manchester Dogs Home received numerous calls about a dog later confirmed to be Duke. A week after Ashley was last seen by Claire, 45-year-old Gerard and 33-year-old Aaron were arrested when suspicions were raised after they were spotted with Ashley's dog Duke. They were charged with his murder. A 30-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of perverting the course of justice. Stephanie Lester, 31 years old, of Lancashire Hill, Heathen Norris, Stockport, is charged with assisting an offender in connection with the murder of Ashley between January the 7th and January the 14th of this year. So I think that now is the right time to give you a trigger warning. The following descriptions of what happened to Ashley will involve instances of me talking about body dismemberment and things like that. So if this is something that you would rather not watch, then I think that you should stop watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. So anyway, Stephanie is accused of cleaning up a property with intent to impede the apprehension or prosecution of a person who had committed the offense of murder following the death of Ashley. The case was adjourned until May 18 at Manchester Crown Court, and she was granted unconditional bail. On the 19th of January, the police conducted a search of a block of flats at Stone Mill Terrace on Lancashire Hill in Stockport. On 20th of January, Aaron and Gerard appeared at Manchester Crown Court via video link from Preston Prison, where they have been remanded in custody. Judge Dean, Queen's Counsel, Prosecutor Rachel Ford, the defense barrister Andrew McIntosh, who is representing Aaron Evitt, and the defense barrister Stuart Neal, who is representing Gerard McLagan, agreed a pre-trial preparation hearing date of Monday, March 21st, with a trial provisionally set for Monday, July the 4th by Judge Dean. On the same night that Ashley had drinks with Aaron and Gerard at his flat, a neighbor heard drilling sounds coming from the flat. The neighbor was questioning herself who would be putting up pictures on the walls at that time in the night. Shelley McLanagan, who works as an appropriate adult providing welfare support to those in custody after arrest, said that she was sent to support Gerard while he was being interviewed. During a conversation, he asked her, "How long do you get for murder?" She didn't respond to his question, as she explained that it wasn't her role to get involved in any way with the legal side of things. She was simply there for welfare. She knew that it was murder, but she wasn't informed of any allegations in the case. She didn't know who had been murdered. She was basically there to give him mental support. So of course that she advised him to speak to his solicitor about the case. He then said, "Do you get more murder if you cut up a body?" At this point, Shelley left the room and spoke to a police officer to report what had been said and to ask whether it was appropriate for her to continue speaking to him. According to her, if people make an admission of confession, then an appropriate adult would have to withdraw. But that was neither, she said. That was a statement that I considered to be odd. I considered he had said something bizarre and odd, bearing in mind I had absolutely no idea at that point the nature of what had happened in this offense. I knew it was murder. I didn't know who had been murdered, she said. I didn't even know there was a co-accused. It was just before midnight on Sunday, January 16th, when Aaron finally cracked. During 5 interviews with police over 2 days, he had been sticking to the lie that Ashley had vanished after he'd woken up. Prior to one police interview, Aaron said that he wanted a further interview without a solicitor, and when asked why, he said, quote, "Confess, I hit him with a hammer," end of quote. As custody officers took him from his cell to smoke a cigarette, he finally opened up. He said, quote, "It's gone on too long. You're going to need a van. I need to show you where he is," end of quote. About an hour later, accompanied by 6 police officers, Aaron made a 5-minute journey from Central Park Police Station in Newton Heath to Sands Hill Park in Collyhurst. He directed police to a graffiti-ridden wall within the park. Shortly after, Ashley was finally found. 4 suitcases had been placed under some leaves within the park. What officers found inside would shock even the most seasoned police officer. Police found the remains of Aaron Walsh's body hidden in a number of suitcases under a pile of leaves, and he was later identified by his fingerprints. Ashley had been dismembered.
So there you go. So this is the other end of the cordon here in Sandhills Park. Police have launched a murder investigation, and 2 men aged 33 and 45 have been arrested on suspicion of the murder of Ashley Walsh. Ashley's from Failsworth, and he was last seen on Kintor Walk in Blakely on January the 7th. So police have issued a public appeal last week as they were growing increasingly concerned for the whereabouts of Ashley. They've since arrested those 2 men, as I mentioned, on suspicion of murder, and a 30-year-old woman on suspicion of perverting the course of justice. And this scene here today in Sandhills Park, police have confirmed, is connected to that investigation, which remains ongoing. So that quote again from Detective Inspector Mark Davis of GMP's Major Investigation Team. He said that following a number of inquiries, we now believe Ashley may have come to serious harm. However, inquiries are still very much ongoing, and we are not in a position to confirm any further details at this stage. And anyone with information should contact police on 0161 856 6377, quoting log number 1819 of January the 12th, 2022. So this is obviously a very shocking incident, has prompted a lot of concern from members of the community here in Collyhurst. This scene has been in place now for several hours, just a short distance as well from 2 primary schools, but there is nothing to suggest that they are connected from what police have said at this stage. So this is obviously an ongoing story, and we're going to continue bringing you updates on this on the Manchester Evening News website and on our Facebook page. So stick with us throughout the day, and thank you everybody for tuning in this afternoon.
After Aaron and Gerard killed Ashley, Aaron called his sister and told her he did something bad and he killed someone. He said he didn't know what happened, but he killed someone. He later went to her house with Gerard, who was overheard saying 6 pieces, which the prosecutor alleged was in relation to Ashley's body. As Aaron went upstairs, he began to cry uncontrollably and asked his sister what to do. When she told him to go to the police, he turned on her and he threatened to kill her, their mother, and her children. Police were later informed of what Aaron told his sister, and it was said that she had been concerned about going to the police as she believed she would get into trouble. Police were tasked with piecing together exactly how Ashley died. A post-mortem examination on Ashley's remains provided key information surrounding his death. Ashley had severe head injuries, including a fracture to the skull and 6 stab wounds to his torso, some of which were between 12 and 18 centimeters deep. He suffered 102 separate injuries and had not been alive when he'd been dismembered. He had been dismembered through the neck, central torso, both upper arms close to the shoulders, both upper thighs, and his left lower leg, using a samurai sword Gerard kept as an ornament on his wall, plus kitchen knives and an electronic saw. His cause of death was recorded as multiple injuries. In 102 areas of injury were included multiple wounds to his head and face caused by repeated hammer blows, and to his body by a number of deep stab wounds to the chest. This would have been fatal. After he was murdered, his head was removed and his body dismembered before the parts were placed into plastic bags. They were transferred into the suitcases, which Aaron then took by pedal cycle to the park on a number of trips. Aaron and Gerard then spent days cleaning up the flat using bleach and painting over blood-stained walls. Ashley was still alive while he was stabbed, even though Aaron had said he was dead when he stabbed him. Police turned their attention to Gerard's flat in Kintor Walk, Collyhurst, the house of horrors where Ashley had been dismembered. Officers noticed a distinct aroma of cleaning products and disinfectant within the bathroom, with the flat otherwise not exactly clean. Bleach and disinfectant was seized with Aaron's and Gerard's fingerprints on them. Within Ashley's remains, a latex glove with Gerard's bloodied fingerprint was recovered. Exactly how a Friday night which began with drinks and good fun ended up in one of Manchester's most horrific murders in recent times, only Aaron and Gerard will ever know. In court, of course, they blamed each other. What a surprise there. Aaron said that Ashley called him that afternoon on January the 7th and arranged to meet up, as they hadn't seen each other for a while. The three of them, who all worked in the building trade, drank brandy and beer at Gerard's flat. Ashley took Duke with him and the mood was cheerful at first. Aaron smoked cannabis and Gerard sniffed cocaine. But it turns out that an argument broke out after Ashley claimed that he slept with Aaron's ex-girlfriend. According to Aaron, they got into a fight and Ashley hit him with a hammer. So basically, Aaron is saying that he acted in self-defense. Aaron then hit Ashley repeatedly to the head and face with a hammer, causing serious injuries. He said that he and Ashley came to blows in the garden outside the flat shortly after Ashley had told him that he slept with his ex-girlfriend. You know, the same ex that he broke off with recently. The reason why he actually went to live in Gerard's flat, because his ex kicked him out. Gerard allegedly told Aaron and Ashley to effing grow up, and they went back inside. Aaron claimed that Ashley picked up a hammer from the floor and swung it at him in the living room, hitting him in the arm. He hit him 2 or 3 times with a hammer. So then Aaron jumped up to get that hammer off of Ashley to stop him from hitting. He punched him in the face and Ashley dropped the hammer. He admitted picking up the hammer and hitting Ashley twice over the head, the second causing him to fall to the floor. Aaron said that Ashley didn't have one cut, he didn't have any injury, he was fine. Aaron, who admitted being very drunk, said he then passed out on a couch. He said he woke up a few hours later with Gerard fast asleep and Ashley no longer present. Aaron claimed that Gerard told him he killed Ashley by hitting him with a hammer and he had cut him up. Asked why he dismembered the body, Gerard said, to dispose of it. I needed to get rid of it to protect my nephew. Aaron said that he felt sick after realizing what had happened to Ashley. Quote, I went mad at Gerard. I was disgusted. I was ashamed. If anything, I just felt shocked. I was disgusted and shocked. I went to the toilet and threw up. End of quote. Asked why he didn't contact the police, Aaron said he instead decided to go to his sister's house to get a bit of advice. Later, Aaron and Gerard returned to the flat to clean up. Asked why, when Aaron had earlier claimed he'd hand himself into police, he said, quote, "No idea, to be honest, I wasn't thinking straight." He admitted helping Gerard move Ashley's remains, which had been placed in suitcases, to a nearby park, but denied having anything to do with the stabbing or dismemberment. Quote, "It was all Jed," he said, of the stabbings. "I had no part to play in it. I didn't advise him to do it. I didn't agree with any of it," he said. At first, Gerard blamed Aaron for the stab wounds which Ashley had suffered, but in courtroom confession, Gerard admitted he lied under oath and he was the one who actually stabbed Ashley. He claimed he stabbed Ashley believing that he was already dead. But this contradicted the pathological evidence that Ashley was still alive when he was stabbed. In the witness box, Aaron turned on his cousin. Quote, "He made me believe that I had killed him," Aaron said. "It was all Jed," he added. Aaron had been killed sometime before 12:30 a.m. on January the 8th, 2022. His girlfriend sent him a text message at around 1 a.m., having no clue whatsoever that at that time he was already gone. Gerard claimed he needed to get rid of Ashley's body to protect Aaron. Gerard used an ornamental samurai sword, kitchen knives, a hammer, and an electric saw to dismember Ashley. He even cut his little finger off to get rid of his ring in an attempt to avoid the body being identified. Aaron and Gerard then decided to come up with a story that Ashley left the flat after he got off with a girl. Left with Duke after Ashley's brutal death, they abandoned the dog in Bogart Hall Clough. A length of cable was recovered that had been used to tie the park gates together. Ashley's trusty dog helped raise the alarm following his disappearance. Duke has now been reunited with Ashley's family and is being looked after by his best friend's mom. Both men have already pleaded guilty to the prevention of a lawful burial, but they deny murder. The trial began at Manchester Crown Court on July the 5th, 2022, this month, with prosecutor Michael Brady, Queen's Counsel, telling the jury Ashley was killed just after midnight on Friday, January the 7th at Gerard's flat on Kintor Walk in Collyhurst. He said that Aaron, Gerard and Ashley were friends who worked in the building trade and they were alcohol dependent. At the time of his death, Ashley was working as a roofer and living with his girlfriend, her 3 children and his dog Duke. At around 1 a.m. on January the 7th, Ashley had not returned home and his girlfriend called his phone, but she got no answer. He had left at around 4:15 p.m. with Duke. It was later discovered that his phone had been disconnected. The next morning, Aaron's sister received a call from him, who had been staying at Gerard's flat, in which he told her that he killed someone, and he said it was Ash, but she didn't know who that was. Aaron's sister then spoke to another family member and relayed what he had told her. The police was informed and they arrested Aaron and Gerard on Friday, January 14th, on suspicion of murder. Aaron and Gerard had taken Duke to the park and tied the gates together with cable so he couldn't escape. A nearby resident told officers that she found a jacket dumped in her wheelie bin. The jacket matched the one worn by Aaron in the camera footage shown to Ashley's sister. Police also found a bloodied fingerprint on a latex glove, Aaron's fingerprint on a bottle of bleach under the sink, blood on the ceiling that had been painted over, and a pink cloth with bloody footwear marks that resembled the footwear worn by Gerard. In phone calls to family members from prison, Aaron Evitt said he had seen red and flipped out. Gerard previously told police that he could not explain the bloody footprint found on the pink cloth in his flat, and the blood found on his bath could have been from when he cut his finger. He also told police that the blood found on a carrier bag in his bathroom may have been from a bloody tissue he used for his finger, and blood from inside the doorframe of his flat's front door may have been when he was attacked in July 2020. Aaron's sister, mother and nephew also took the stand to give evidence at the trial. Aaron's sister told the court that she had a difficult relationship with her brother and lost contact with him in May 2018, but met up with him on January the 2nd of this year along with other family members. The family met at the supermarket to help Aaron with some food shopping ahead of him moving into Gerard's flat. It was believed Aaron was trying to get his life sorted out. Aaron's sister then saw her brother again on the evening of Friday, January the 7th. He went to her house, and while there he spoke to someone called Ash on the phone and then left. At around 10 a.m. the following day, Saturday, January the 8th, his sister received a call from a private number. It was Aaron. After he had told her that he killed someone and then he blacked out and said it was Ash, he told her he asked Gerard where Ashley was, and Gerard had said, "Do you not remember what happened last night?" To which Aaron responded, "No," and Gerard replied, "You killed him." She then asked her brother to come to her house. At around 1 p.m. that day, she saw him and Gerard arrive on her street, but got scared and overwhelmed and hid further up the street. She then went back to her house and spoke to her brother in her bedroom. She told him that he had to go to the police and recalled that he had his head in his hands and kept repeating, "I know." She then told him, quote, "Please don't make me phone the police and get you dragged out on a murder charge because that's not fair on my children." End of quote. At this point, Aaron went mad. Quote, "He just switched and said he would kill my mom, my children and nephew. I felt my heart sink. I had all these people downstairs that I am responsible for," his sister said. She later told the jury that she was genuinely scared of what would happen to her and her children if Aaron found out that she went to the police. Aaron then left and told her not to do anything stupid. Aaron's mother also took the stand. She was also present when Aaron visited his sister at her home. Gerard was her nephew, making him and Aaron cousins, but she considered Gerard her little brother. She said up until January of this year, she didn't see her son Aaron for 4 years after he assaulted her at his father's funeral when he pulled a chandelier and it smacked her in the face, resulting in her getting stitches and being left with a scar. Aaron's mother believed Gerard was vulnerable at the time of the incident. She said as an alcoholic who suffered with depression, Gerard was always vulnerable, and went on to describe him as Aaron's lapdog. When asked if she loved Aaron, his mom said that she did love him, he is her son, but she is petrified of him. She added that she and Aaron's sister told her sister-in-law what Aaron had said, and that it was her sister-in-law that went to the police. Ashley Walsh had been living with his partner, her children and his beloved dog Duke, with whom he was besotted. Police arrested both Aaron Evitt and Gerard McLagan on 14th of January 2022. Days later, Aaron's body was recovered in several pieces hidden inside 4 suitcases in Sand Hills Park, Collyhurst, under leaves and branches. Mr. Brady, Queen's counsel, told the court, quote, "Evitt said he hit Ashley because he told him that he had slept with Jennifer, Mr. Evitt's ex-partner. He said he had flipped out, we had an argument, we had a fight, I hit him with a hammer. He said he had not intended to kill him, but that hitting someone to the head with a hammer would hurt." He went on to say that Gerard, was in the middle of them. They pushed Jed out of the way. Ashley had tried to go down the stairs and he had hit him with a hammer across the head. Mr. Evitt added that he didn't know how many times he struck him and said he was pissed and stoned and may have blacked out. Gerard said that Ashley tried to leave, saying, "Just let me go, let me go." But Aaron wouldn't let him go. He wanted answers. Gerard claimed he later learned they were arguing because Ashley had allegedly slept with Aaron's ex-partner and the mother of his children. Gerard said that he tried to step in between them and told them to calm down. He also said he saw Aaron strike Ashley with a hammer on his head more than once, and Ashley was putting his arms up to defend himself. Gerard continued, quote, "The last thing I recall is Ash lying on the floor. He ended up getting knocked out on the floor. He wasn't moving. He could have been fast asleep. I checked his pulse on his wrist, neck and chest to check his heartbeat. There was no pulse or anything. I thought he was dead." End of quote. According to Gerard, after this had happened, Aaron made a video call to someone called Stephanie. Remember Stephanie, the same woman that she was arrested for complicity for cleaning up the scene? He allegedly showed Stephanie Ashley's body and she said it was a mannequin, at which point Aaron stabbed Ashley in the chest because according to Gerard, he thought he was already dead. And maybe he wanted to prove to Stephanie that no, he wasn't a mannequin, he was a real person. I don't know what goes on in these delusional people's heads. He said that he woke up at 4 in the morning, noticed that Ashley wasn't there, but that the dog was, and when he asked Gerard about it, Jed told him that he, Aaron, had killed Mr. Walsh and that he, Gerard, had cut him up and said, quote, "He's in bags outside the door." When asked whether he had played any part in dismembering Mr. Walsh's body, Gerard replied, "Not to my knowledge." Then whose knowledge would that be if not to his knowledge? I mean, he's Gerard. I don't know. It's just odd. It's just odd because his answer could have simply been yes or no. No, not to my knowledge. I don't know. Handing out life terms on Friday 15th of July for the callous and brutal killing, Mr. Justice Goose told them, quote, "You acted together to overpower and murder the deceased. You acted together to dispose of his body and of the evidence of what had happened. The circumstances of this have been horrific for the family to listen to." End of quote. Reading out a victim personal statement from the witness box, Aaron's cousin, Helen Walsh, said, quote, "It was difficult to hear the words in court, hearing how they treated Ashley, how they used words like chopped him up. We feel there has been no remorse shown whatsoever. We will always remember Ashley as a fun, smiling, chilled, kind-hearted man, and his loss means our family will never be the same again." End of quote. His girlfriend Claire Williams added, quote, "The only flaw he had was to choose the wrong friends." End of quote. In a statement paying tribute to Ashley, his family said, quote, "Ashley, our blonde-haired, curly-haired, smiling-faced little boy. Growing up in a large family, he touched the hearts of everyone he met. By nature, he was helpful, sentimental, mischievous, and the most easygoing person. A talented motocross rider, his dad, always his biggest supporter. We have been left devastated that Ashley was to lose his life in such horrific circumstances. He was a lover, not a fighter. Ashley, you mean the world to us. If love alone could have saved you, you would have lived forever." End of quote. Gerard McLagan and Aaron Evitt of Brandner Road, Moston, were sentenced to life in prison, and they have to serve at least 28 years before being considered eligible for parole after they were found guilty of Ashley's murder. They also received concurrent 3-year jail terms for preventing a lawful burial. Both had numerous previous convictions dating back to when they were juveniles and were each on prison license at the time of the murder. Gerard McLagan has 17 previous convictions for 27 offenses, including being in possession of a blade and battery. He once held a knife to someone's throat, while Aaron Evitt has 16 previous convictions for 28 offenses, including possession of a weapon in a public place, battery, and a fray. In 2020, he threw a table and a TV at his ex-partner's windows. Ashley's family were cheering and applauding in court as the sentences were read out. Roughly 20 members of Ashley's family were in attendance and wore special purple hoodies in Ashley's memory. He was a keen motocross rider and the jumpers bore his number plate 116 and the slogan "Ride in Paradise." Balloons were released outside court in his memory after sentencing.
Welcome.
His family had spent an agonizing 9 days searching for Ashley until Aaron finally revealed where Ashley's remains were. Quote, "We have heard how he died in horrific circumstances, but the torture endured by his family when they were searching for him in the days after his disappearance was pure hell," Ashley's cousin Helen Walsh said. "It sickens me to learn that while we were worried sick, searching for him in Bogart Hall Clough and other places, he was already dead. To learn how his body was treated after his death, how he was placed in suitcases and disposed of like he was garbage, was horrendous," she said. "He was not garbage, he was my precious cousin." Ashley Walsh was aged 34 when he was callously and brutally killed. Ashley's family were glad that justice has been done, but their lives have forever been changed. They say that even day-to-day chores such as walking the dog or cleaning remind them of Ashley's brutal murder because of the details of the case. Quote, "We associate these things with a murder and are reminded," Helen said. "We will always remember Ashley as a fun, smiling, chilled, kind-hearted man, and his loss means our family will never be the same again." End of quote. During the trial, Aaron Evitt was asked how he felt about his friend Ashley's death. He said, quote, "I know it wasn't my fault, so I don't feel as bad. Still bad, but at the end of the day, I didn't tell him to do it." End of quote. Helen said that she was shocked to hear the comment. "We feel there has been no remorse shown whatsoever about what happened to Ashley," she said. After the hearing, Detective Inspector Daniel Lee of Greater Manchester Police's Major Incident Team said, quote, "These convictions are the result of a thorough investigation by our Major Incident Team who are committed to securing justice for Ashley's family, and I'm pleased that those responsible were convicted. It was a heinous act of violence, and not only did Aaron Evitt and Gerard McLagan take Ashley's life, but they also attempted to conceal what they had done, causing extreme distress and upset to Ashley's family and friends. Our thoughts are with them at this time, and we can only hope that today's verdict brings some comfort." End of quote. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please do let me know what do you think about this case in the comment section down below. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!